You can't replace part of the brain. Like, you
treat them the same.
A source of truth for the medtech industry.
Coexists with the province.
Robot understands things automatically.
Number one show in the medtech industry.
So Stryker got ahead of that and changed in the 90s, built $1 billion company that held up high, a lot of things.
State of MedTech.
With your host, Omar and Khatib.
All right, everybody, welcome back to MedTech Growth Levers. Today's topic is the One Belief framework. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of marketing and sales leaders, especially companies, is that they struggle when it comes to conversions and essentially getting market penetration. And a lot of it boils down to something that seems very simple, but is not, which is what's the one sentence, the one belief that you're trying to seed into the market, right? To not only attract those early adopters, and have them adopt your product, but for it to essentially resonate, right? It's not going to resonate with everybody. If you want like a little bit of further reading, a lot of old copywriting and classic advertising books talk about this concept. They don't really always call it a one belief. The one group that did come up with this frame of the one belief was from the book, The 16-Word Sales Letter by Evaldo Albuquerque. Evaldo worked over at Agora Financial, which is really, if you're in the copywriting world, you know how well known they are in terms of their copywriting skills. So I took a little bit of that and baked it in to this presentation. So, and for those who are joining, thank you so much for joining. If you're listening to this on Spotify or YouTube or Apple, check the show notes below. We have a link where you can register for free and join these free Zoom calls where you can actually ask me questions. Okay. So let's dive into it. So first of all, like why, before I go into this formula as to like why this framework and everything, or how this framework looks, the first question that I want to just make sure to answer is like, why is it important? Like, why do you need this framework? So like, I think about it like in three different areas. Number one, you want what I like to consider as magnetic messaging. So you want to be able to establish a market presence and have something that's going to attract a key audience. Okay. Emphasis on key. Not everybody's going to be your key audience, and that's why we call it an ICP, or ideal customer profile. There's an ideal customer for you, right? You don't want everybody to be your customer because there's unideal customers, right, who you don't want, okay? That's number one. Second part is that it's identifying a pain and desire. So one thing that a lot of marketing messaging is lacking, right, including brand, is this ability to sort of speak to primitive and emotional parts of the brain. Specifically, you want to get really, scientific about it. And specifically, we're talking about the brainstem and midbrain. And so we need to use very simple language, very simple concepts that will elicit visuals and feelings and emotions. If you always want to think about emotion and marketing, emotion, emotion, energy in motion. And finally is this framework kind of taps into another part, which I think is important for every person to do for their company and their product, which is a FROTO, a from to framework. Or you can think of it as, what is the customer trying to escape from and what are they trying to arrive to? So this is essentially pointing to a vehicle and a route to escape from the current state of pain that the customer is in and arrive at a desired state. Okay. So let's take a look at the One Belief framework. So it's very, very simple, okay? And let me pull up my some of my notes here because I'm going to walk you guys through some slides in a second. On the One Belief framework, it's this simple. You have a new opportunity plus an existing pain or desire plus a new vehicle, okay? Now, let's break that down, okay? The new opportunity. Now, here's the part where a lot of medtech companies, they essentially focus on too much, and they do, this is pretty much all they do, which is they focus on the new vehicle and they think that's their product, right? It's not, okay? Your product ends up being an adjacency to this new vehicle, but it's not the new vehicle, okay? So let's talk about the One Belief breakdown. So the new opportunity, the way you want to think about this is that it's a new idea for the old thing. And that's something that's very unique. Okay. That's the first part of this. Okay. And by the way, just so everybody understands, when we talk about the One Belief, I literally mean like a sentence. Okay. Like that's how simple this needs to be. Because at the end of the day, we live in a very busy world. And so you need people to remember you for something. It might as well be a belief to sort of position and align with something that they want and something that they don't want. Okay. Now, existing pain or desire, really important. Okay. The new opportunity is essentially the key part to eliminating the pain and satisfying the desire. For me, sometimes you can't do both of those things at the same time, depending on your product or company. So I always like to try and focus on, I try my best to focus on the pain because I feel like pain is just a much more stronger emotion. And so a lot of times in my own marketing materials, I focus on, are you struggling with sales pipeline? Are you struggling to get in front of more investors? Because that's something that is existing right now. And as a marketer, as a salesperson, if you're able to communicate verbally, whether it's through auditory or through written, the way that somebody is thinking and feeling in that present moment, then you are closer to them, but then also you're going to be a lot more persuasive. Okay. So existing pain or desire. And then the last part is essentially new vehicle. The new vehicle, the way you want to think about it is that the new opportunity achieves the desire is only possible through this one vehicle. And that's, and the vehicle, if you want to map it out, is you think about this existing pain. And if you want to say that they want to escape from this existing pain and arrive at a future desire. Okay. And the way that happens is through this new vehicle. Okay. Which is usually your products or service. Now, what does this look like in practice? Okay. Let me toggle a bunch of screens here and show you guys some examples of this. Okay. And by the way, something that I do want to also point out is that the one belief is also going to help you judge the strength of your idea. So if you can't identify like your new opportunity, then your idea isn't unique enough. Okay. That's something to keep in mind. All right. And so going through this process really helps people break this down. Okay. And I'll get into the application of this in a moment, but let me share my screen here. Okay. So over on Zoom, we got you guys squared away on Riverside. We're gonna having a little bit of an issue on Riverside here. Let me come back. I'll come back to Riverside in a second. And actually, I'm going to have to probably just bring this screen over. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Everybody give me 1 second. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's try. Sorry about that, guys. So let's just try that again. So we got Zoom. We're going to get Riverside here in a second, and then we're going to present this over on LinkedIn.
Quick commercial break for marketing leaders and sales leaders. I don't have to tell you this, but it's worth reiterating that the time clinicians have to meet with medical reps is limited. You know this and feel this. It's been a challenge for med device sellers for decades. Now, with the rising workloads and patient care demands, clinicians' times are shrinking even more. And the window for your sellers and your sales team to meet with these clinicians consists of pretty much just minutes in a busy hospital hallway. The reality is your sellers have to make every second count or someone else will. They must be concise, they got to be efficient, and use highly relevant information to make the most out of ththese brief interactions. ShowPad is all about focusing your sellers on the art of selling, which is about building trust and relationships. And while there's science, the ShowPad solution handles the behind-the-scenes prep and follow-up work to make your team more effective. The best part is that you get insights on content and training performance so you can make strategic decisions and invest more in what works based on data. ShowPad helps your sales and marketing teams spend their time in more productive, high-impact ways with a multiplying effect on your revenue results and growing your pipeline. So to learn more, Go to showpad.com/State of MedTech. Now, let's get back to the show.
Perfect. And finally, let's go over to LinkedIn. Okay. So if we look at the existing pain desire, this new belief framework, as it applies to really well-known concepts. So if we think about proactive, okay, proactives, this is their tagline, okay, attacking acne at every stage of the cycle. So that's the new opportunity. And I want to show you how you can judge how strong this idea is. If it's just attacking acne or clearing acne, that's not think about it. The key word here is new opportunity. So clearing up acne, attacking acne, treating acne is not new, but attacking acne at every stage of the cycle. So that's a new concept. Okay. So the old problem is like, I have an acne, but attacking it at every stage of the cycle. That's kind of a new opportunity, right? Is the key to keeping your skin clear and healthy. That's the existing desire, right? And I think with acne, it works well because you can physically see this, right? So there's no need to like amplify the pain. You can focus on the desire here. And the vehicle is, and it's attainable only through Proactive's combination therapy. That's the new vehicle. Now, the reason why I think that's a good new vehicle is because they call it a combination therapy. So if you remove Proactive, it's still a strong statement because combination therapy is a new vehicle. It's not an ointment. It's not a treatment. It's a combination therapy. So everything in this is very, very unique. It's novel, gets the attention of somebody, right? Let's look at another one. This is one of my favorites, P90X. If you guys remember P90X, the workout, the workout program, right? So P90X is really, really interesting. Whoops, and I really gotta, somebody's listening to this and you want to be a producer, hit me up, okay? So with P90X, and oops, it looks like we lost connection on LinkedIn for that. Okay, there we go. So P90X, okay, avoiding the plateau effect. So that's a new opportunity, right? Like what the hell is a plateau effect, right? What I would do to strengthen this new opportunity, right, is avoiding the plateau effect in fitness. Okay, so now you know what the plateau effect is like. Oh, that's related to fitness. Okay, is the key to building muscle. That's the existing desire. It's sustainable. It's attainable only through. And again, I love this new vehicle, muscle confusion system. So P90X is not even telling you about their product. They're talking to you about this category, muscle confusion system. Right? You don't even know what that is, but just by reading that, you have an idea of what that is. Right? And again, what I believe is that when many of you think about creating or designing this new category for you to dominate, too many people try and make the new category this complicated thing with very fancy words, right? That's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to come up with a category that on the surface, you understand what it is, like ride share, right? Electric car, like we understand what that is, right? So that's a really, really good one, okay? Let's go to a few more. Subway, okay? Eating healthy fast food. That's the new opportunity. And think about what they just did there with the language. Eating healthy fast food, right? Not eating healthy sub sandwiches or, it's healthy fast food. So they took something that's technically bad and made it good by saying it's healthy fast food, So, I think in our industry, and a great example of this is when you say minimally invasive surgery. Okay. Think about that. Surgery is invasive, but we say minimally invasive or even better, right? Like if you look at Insightech is a really cool company, very exciting, but they have non-invasive neurosurgery. Like how can neurosurgery be non-invasive, right? So again, eating healthy fast food, that's the new opportunity, is the key to losing weight, existing desire, and it's attainable only through a diet based on Subway sandwiches. That's the new vehicle. I think that's a weak new vehicle because again, it's just promoting the product versus focusing on, enhancing the category. So I would say something like through a diet based on Subway sandwiches made with like fresh fruit or something, like whatever you want to call it, right? So that's the main idea behind the one belief. And let me stop sharing on all my platforms here and get back to the main topic, which is the one belief. Okay. So, again, just to kind of walk you guys through it one more time, is that your one belief, and then we'll open it up to questions. We'll see if anybody has questions either on LinkedIn or on the Zoom. Just go ahead and drop a question or raise your hand or come off mute, whatever it might be. Is that your one belief? The way you want to do this is you sit down before you make marketing materials, before you do anything, you have to have this. So, the reason why this is so important is because this is the sort of the foundation for your elevator pitch for your reps. It's going to be the tagline that goes on your LinkedIn profiles. It'll be the tagline on your website. It'll be the tagline that you use at conferences. It's the first and last thing that you tell people that you meet. It is the foundation of your business. I can't emphasize this enough. And think about it like this: there's plenty of companies where you're aware of the company, but like there's companies that I don't want to mention on this show that I've seen multiple times. Actually, if you look at my comments this week, I called one of them out in a post because I was like, "Oh, great! Like, glad to see that so and so's this founder is going on a podcast." I'm like, "Great! I can finally understand what the hell they do," because I see this company's brand all the time. I have no idea what they do. Okay, so your one belief is going to start with this new opportunity. Okay. The new opportunity is an old way, like an old problem solved in a new way. Okay. Right. That's the new opportunity. And remember, it's not an opportunity. It can't be just like, doing spine surgery better. It has to be something new. Doing spine surgery via robotics. That's new. Okay. Oh, kind of. So, new opportunity, existing pain or desire. This is super important. Your marketing materials, there has like, I'm going to say something that's such a cliche thing to say these days, but people still don't fully respect the fact that all decisions are emotional decisions. Every single one of them, even in the world of medicine, where you have publications and data and everything, it's all emotion. So you have to figure out what's the existing pain or desire. The other thing about this is that you should do your best not to just come up with this existing pain or desire within like a whiteboard session with your team. Like, if you have existing customers, go out and talk to them. If you don't have any customers, then you have to either pay or find a way to go to a conference and meet your customers face to face and ask them, or prospective customers face to face, to ask them like, "Hey, here's the old problem. Here's the new way that it's solved. Here's how we do it. What do you think about this? With this current procedure that you're dealing with, like, what parts do you hate? What's good? What's bad? What would you want more?" And then you can start building this out and figuring out, okay, like this is the core existing pain, right? So for example, in a lot of robotics, one of the existing pain points, which people didn't think about, wasn't exactly that the doctor wants to do minimally invasive surgery and everything. A big part of it was like reduction in radiation, right? So like reducing radiation exposure is kind of a byproduct of using robotics, right? And so that's what you have to consider. And then the new vehicle is the thing that allows you to use this new opportunity to go from an existing pain and arrived at a future desire, right? And in my personal opinion, your goal as a founder, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, is to promote this new vehicle, which you can think of as a new category. Okay. If you become the main person to be the leader or the voice of this new category in terms of educating people on the problem, what to name it, the solution, how to solve it, etc., by default, adjacent to it, your product will be adopted. Don't be impatient and jump straight there, right? The most important thing is that you want to seed the market with language that's simple and persuasive, so it resonates with a key group of people who say, "That's an existing problem that I have. I wanted to solve it in a new way. This seems like a great vehicle to get me to that place." So that's how you want to think about these things. So that being said, let me, I see some people dropped in some anonymous questions. Okay. And then I'll jump over to LinkedIn to see if anybody's over there with some questions. But all right, so first question is, all right, yeah, I can see why this is an anonymous question. The question is, Omar, my CEO believes that our new vehicle is one thing and I believe it's something else. How do I convince them to change? Okay, so that's a great question. It's sort of a longer question, but I kind of summarized it here. So as a marketer, unless you're listening to this and you're the founder of a company or a CEO, like you don't have this problem. But anybody else, you don't have the authority to just go and change these things. So the best thing is if your approach to changing your company messaging is through your own opinion, you're going to lose because somebody with a bigger, more powerful opinion is just going to win. That's a losing frame. What you want to be able to do is allow somebody to argue with you with their opinion, and then your rebuttal is going to be data. And when I say data, that doesn't need to be quantitative data. It can be qualitative, where you literally do some research, talk to a few people and say, hey, look, we spoke to 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 different prospective customers in this area. This is what they all said. Here's the tying theme, right? And if you do that, right, that kind of research is not going to only be valuable to you in that, let's say, meeting with your CEO, your VP, whoever. This is also going to be for the board. And on the other side of it, you also want to be able to inspire confidence in the rest of the company, specifically the sales reps, to say that, hey, like, I've done the hard work to research this. This is not just my idea, right? We had a thesis. We pressure tested that thesis in the market. This is the data that we gave back, and this is the result of that, right? You have to start thinking about this as a marketer. Even if you're a VP or chief commercial officer, you can't just wield your weight around. It's, you might win, but it's kind of like you're winning one small battle and winning the war and losing the war, right? And in this case, is that you want to inspire people that this is not an opinion of yours, right? That this is, at least backed by some kind of like research, a little bit. Okay, so great question. All right, next question that we have here. Okay, so I'm going to try and mask this as best as I can. So the question is when you start on the one belief, where should you start first and why? Okay. So this person wrote, so for those who are asking questions, I appreciate the questions. Just ask the question. I don't need like a paragraph of background because it takes me more time to figure out what you actually want. So in my personal opinion, okay, what you want to do is like, think of it like this. These two things, the new opportunity and the new vehicle, these are things that you're engineering. You're manufacturing these things. One, because they're new, and two, because you have control over these two elements. What you do not have control of is this, which is the existing pain or desire. That's something that's existing. So technically, the materials, the variables that are going to influence your new opportunity and the new vehicle are going to come from an existing pain or desire. Similar to your product. You didn't just go and make your product out of nothing. Your product was spawned out of an existing pain, problem, etc. And then you decided to solve for that. So you have to take that further and say, okay, what are the like true existing pains and desires? And if you want to take this further, figure this out not only for the end user, right? So a lot of companies, let me back up for a second. A lot of companies, they have three prospects. They have the person who's going to make the decision on the technology. They have the person who's going to be using the technology, and then the person who's going to pay for it. A lot of times, those are three different people. Many times, like with a lot of devices and stuff, usually the person who's going to be managing and handling it, et cetera, is like a staff member, a nurse, et cetera. The person who's going to decide to use it as a physician, and the person who's going to pay for it is a hospital admin. So starting here with what are the pain points and the desires of each one of these people allows you to start engineering the right language, the right messaging, the right deck for the new vehicle and the new opportunity. And again, if you go through this exercise with this one simple thing, the way you do everything, anything is the way you do everything, right? If you take that approach with this one little thing, right, which is literally a sentence on your LinkedIn profile, you're able to build a foundation on top of this, knowing that every piece of material that you make, every slide you have is mapping back to strengthening this argument, right? Which is this new belief that you're creating is going to be based on this new opportunity that's going to, eliminate an existing pain, take you to a future desire, and is done through this new vehicle, right? A really good question. Let me hop over to LinkedIn. And for those who are on Zoom, if you have any questions, I see one more in the chat. So, okay, so this is a public one, so I'm just going to say the guy's name. So Sean Kelly, thanks for the question. Any tips on this framework for a product offering that is seen as more of a commodity for the buyer? The product service doesn't have significant key differentiators that the competition can match. So the product/service doesn't have significant. Okay, so if you go through this, there has to be something. Like there's no way on God's green earth that what you have as a product or offering, even if it's a commodity, is the exact same thing as somebody else, right? Like I'll give you a great example. Like let's say, here we go. Like if I have like two markers, right? And they're both Expo markers, and let's just pretend both of these are black, right? Even that is going to be different because, well, who's servicing you? Who's selling you? Like even that process can be different, you know? And so for commodity offers, like I would say this is even more important because you can find a way to enhance even a commodity offer through this. But again, it's going to require a little bit more work. But yeah, again, with commodity offers, I think it's even more important. Like if you're selling a robotic system or AI or something, like how many competitors are doing that? Not a whole lot. But yeah, if you have a commodity, I think it's even more important to figure out like what's the one thing that actually allows us to differentiate, whether it's through our customer service, our pricing, something has to be different. Because if you don't go through that exercise and figure that out, you're kind of just throwing it up in the air and allowing that to be in the customer's hands to decide. And you never want to do that. Like at the very end of the day, like you don't control what the customer's thinking. You don't control their behavior. You don't control their money. You don't really control much. The only thing you can control is the narrative about you and your company. And so sitting down and even forcing yourself to go through this exercise, I think will allow you to get some insights and learn more. And if at the very minimum, go to your current customers and kind of talk them through this and just say, hey, you had a choice to go with this provider or that provider. You chose us and our product. Why? Can you explain why that is? And that'll allow them to go through an existing pain or desire and ask them like, what was going on at the time that you decided to use us? What were you hoping to get? Like you have to dig, and you shouldn't guess, right? That's my best advice for that. But good question, Sean. I hope it kind of answers that for you. Let's see. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. Perfect. Kept this nice and tight. Thank you all for joining. So again, like go and kind of walk through this, and I think it's really important. Like what I would say to take the pressure off is just start by asking yourself, okay, we're all on LinkedIn. You have a company LinkedIn page. You have reps with LinkedIn profiles. What's the one sentence we can put on their LinkedIn profile where if they engage with a buyer, that buyer sees the sentence and can either say, not for me, or yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Start there and then build. So that being said, thank you so much for joining. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We get a lot of great content, a lot of really cool episodes coming out. And if you want to join these calls on the Zoom end where you can unmute yourself and ask questions, check the show notes below, click that link and just register for free. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to do me a big favor and join so many other people who have helped grow this podcast, take a second and look below. If you're on Apple, give us 5 stars and write a short review. If you're on Spotify, just give us 5 stars. And if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. And most importantly, if you can, subscribe. We release so many different episodes that you may miss. Be sure to subscribe and turn your notifications on. You get extra points with me if you subscribe across all 3 channels. Thank you so much. And if you felt like this episode helped you, send this to somebody who'd really enjoy and appreciate it. Share and spread the love. We'll see you all next time.